Yes, you're finally taking that long-awaited vacation. You're ready to sit on a beach with a book and a margarita and just relax. But there's something nagging at you, and you're worried it might ruin your vacation. But you're also worried about what might happen if you ignore it. What is it? It's email, and worse, Slack. In today's episode, I'm sharing the exact steps I use to take totally unplugged vacations. And look, in my 25 years in the workforce, I've never checked email on vacation, not once. And there's never been any blowback. So you're going to want to stick around for the rest of this episode to learn how you too can have a fearlessly email free vacation. Welcome to the Do More, Stress Less podcast. I'm your host, Alexis Hasselberger, a time management and productivity coach. In every episode, I give you actionable, practical tips to help you learn to use your time in a way that feels good to you every day. No more hustling, scrambling, or struggling to keep your head above water. So let's dive in, and soon enough, you'll be doing more and stressing less. Is it even possible to truly disconnect on vacation? Have you ever uttered those words out loud or in your own head? Well, this morning I got an email from one of my clients asking for strategies for minimizing the impact of work on vacation. And look, while I'm a huge fan of the off grid vacation where you're literally not reachable, that isn't always possible for everyone in every job. So, if you've got an upcoming vacation this summer, there are some things that you can do right now to ensure that that vacation is as disconnected, as unplugged as possible, and that you get to disconnect and truly rejuvenate, relax during that time off. Do you want a playbook for how to set yourself up to actually enjoy that vacation? Then let's go. So, here's what you're going to do. A few weeks before your vacation, if you can, you're going to want to do a couple of things. So, one of those things is to define what your emergency channel is, and you're going to want to communicate that to everyone that you work with. Now, the emergency channel, this is how they're going to reach out to you in an emergency. And it shouldn't be email and it shouldn't be Slack because, again, you don't want to be checking those things. So, how do you want your team to reach out to you in case of a true emergency, right? Usually, I think the best bet is like a phone call, right? Because that's not something that most people are doing all that much anyways. And it's something that is going to ring through on your phone, maybe a text message. But I think a phone call is usually like the most frictionful one. And so that's what we want to do typically. When you define the emergency channel, you're doing two key things. So the first thing is that you're setting expectations that you won't be, checking in. And the second thing is that you're ensuring that there will be an agreed upon method to contact you should a true emergency really arise. And this is going to make your team feel a lot more comfortable with your unplugged absence. Now, you're going to do that, a couple weeks before, or honestly, if you have a vacation coming up, do it right now, right? But you want to do it as soon as you can. Then what you're also going to want to do is to block off the last day or the afternoon right before you leave on vacation in your work calendar. Like block it off so that nobody can schedule meetings during that time, or at the very least that they have to ask you if they can schedule a meeting during that time. And you're going to use this as a prep time, a prep day, a prep afternoon, and you're going to use this to wrap up all the loose ends going on at your job. You are also going to block off the first day that you'll be back in the office on your calendar so that no one can schedule meetings with you. You're going to use this day to play catch up, to get back in top of your emails, on top of Slack, on top of Teams, check voicemails if you got any, and get status updates from your team on projects, etc. Because one thing I know is if you start work and you're just back to back to back meetings, it's going to feel like you have to take weeks to dig yourself out of that mountain of work. But I also know from experience that if you block that first day off so that you have very few or preferably no meetings, you are going to be feeling back in the groove by your second day back in the office. I took let's see, what was it? It was a couple of years ago. I took 6 weeks off during the summer, which I know is a huge privilege. And it's something that I only have done that one time actually. And it's something that I can only, I mean, maybe you could do it, but I did because I work for myself. So I took a kind of sabbatical. And during that time, I blocked off actually the first 2 days back because I thought, it might take me a really long time to get on top of email. But what I found was that 6 weeks of email I got done in 8 hours my first day back. And so it is possible to really get back to kind of inbox zero if you were there in the first place, or just feel on top of your inbox when you return. Now, another thing that you're going to want to do, preferably, as soon as you book your vacation, but a few weeks out, or, if you're taking a vacation very soon, then now, is to find a coworker who will be able to handle the emergent issues for you while you're out, right? So, is there somebody that you can direct your email to in your out of office reply or on your voicemail, etc., who will be able to handle things in your absence? Because this is going to reduce the likelihood that someone is going to reach out to you on that email or on that emergency channel. You also want to promise to return the favor to this person because they probably want to go on a vacation too and don't want to check email. You are also going to block out your vacation on your calendar as soon as you book it so that people know you're gone and that there's a little less of trying to reschedule things that you need to do. And then you are also going to, before you leave, make sure you reschedule or remove any meetings or events from both your work and your personal calendars that are occurring during that vacation so that you don't feel compelled to attend or you feel like you're kind of backing out at the last moment. Okay, now what are you going to do the day before your vacation? So hopefully you have blocked off the day or at least the afternoon so that you can tie up all of those loose ends, right? And what you're going to do during that time is you're going to send an email to your manager and any relevant colleagues documenting the status of all the projects that you are involved in that anyone would need to know about, would need to do anything about, give them all the information that they need so that they don't need to reach out to you while you're on vacation. You are also going to set up your out of office. So you're going to do that for your email auto reply. You're going to, if you use voicemail or calls at all, you're going to want to set up an out of office on your voicemail. You want to set your Slack or your Teams status message to let people know that you're on vacation and won't be checking it. You essentially want to communicate that you are out of office and will not be, available, right? You also then want to set a task for yourself for when you return to complete a kind of return from vacation process. And that is essentially to reverse everything you just did, right? So to, turn back on your email, to change your Slack status, to change your voicemail, etc. Because you don't want to be worried about this while you're on vacation. You don't want to be thinking about it. Right? Okay, so that's what we do to prepare. And yes, does this sound like a little bit of work? Yeah, but it is going to make your vacation so much more pleasurable because you're not going to have to think about any of this while you're there. So now what do you do when you return from vacation? Well, first, you're going to thank yourself for blocking off that first day to catch up. You're going to feel so much better when you come back and you are not staring down 8 hours of meetings on your first Monday back in the office, right? You are going to thank yourself. That's the first thing. Then you're going to go ahead and update your out of office for your voicemail, for your Teams, for your Slack, for your email to just, turn it off, make sure you're back, right? Then what you're going to want to do is process your voicemails, your emails, your Slack, your Teams. You're going to process all of that stuff so that you know what you need to do, right? So that you're going to bring that all into your task system, etc. If you want to use the one touch rule, you get brownie points. And now, if you have been listening to me, paying attention for a little while, you probably know what the one touch rule is, but I will not make you remember or go look it up. So, what is the one touch rule? The one touch rule for emails, voicemails, messages, any kind of message, right? The one touch rule is that you only want to touch things once and that there are only three things you can ever do with any kind of message. So I will, I'll say this till I'm blue in the face. I challenge you to come up with something that doesn't fit into one of these categories. So these categories are first category, there's nothing you have to do, right? You can just archive it, move it. It was just an FYI. You would just needed to read it, but there's nothing you have to do to respond. Second category, you have the answer, or you can reasonably find out the answer within a few minutes. If so, go ahead and respond in full. And the third category is it's not something you can respond to in full right now because, you have to get approval or you need to go learn more, or you got to talk to somebody about it, or it's a task or a project or work that you can't do in this moment. And in those cases, you want to do two things. First thing is that you want to reply to the person just to acknowledge, to let them know that you got their message, because otherwise they are going to be wondering, did you get it? Did she not? Should I send another message, etc. So just reply, acknowledge that you got it. The second thing you're going to want to do is add that, whatever it is, that work to your task system so that that work can be prioritized with all of the other work that you have to do. So that's the one touch rule. And you're going to want to process everything you received while you were gone with the one touch rule. Now, one thing that you will find, and I bet you will be shocked to find this as I was the first time, is that so much of the stuff has already been dealt with, right? Yes, you were CC'd on something. Yes, somebody sent you an email to ask you a question, but then they sent you a follow-up saying, "Oh, never mind. I worry, or, I figured it out on my own, or I asked Julie or whatever," right? There's actually going to be a lot less to do than you would imagine. It feels like a lot because you've got hundreds of emails, thousands of Slack messages, but it's actually not going to be as much work as you imagine. Then you're going to want to reprioritize your task system, your task list, right? Just making sure that anything new has been incorporated. You're going to want to plan for, the rest of the week ahead, making sure that you are assigning yourself a reasonable amount of work to do in the time that you have available to do it. You'll want to have a little chat with whoever it was that was covering for you, if someone covered for you while you were on vacation, get any updates on any developments on your projects, etc. And we started with thanking yourself, and you are going to end with thanking your team, right? Thank whoever it was, the colleague that was covering for you, anyone else who may have taken on some work while you were out. Thank them and let them know that you really appreciate them for covering for you. It is always nice too if you can bring them back, a little bit of a gift when you come back to the office. I think that's something that people really still do appreciate, whether it's just like some candies from wherever you were or whatever. So that is always nice. So if you do these steps, and these are the steps I do every time I take a vacation, you will find that you are actually able to really disconnect, to get deep into your vacation, to get deep into relaxation and enjoyment of your vacation without having that nagging feeling in the background of, oh, I really should be checking in on what's happening, or what are people going to think or say if I don't respond to these things. If you are checking email on vacation, you're still in work mode. Like you may be in a different place, a different location, but you're still kind of in work mode and you're not really getting the true benefit of that vacation. But if you do these steps, you will have a truly unplugged vacation. Somebody may reach out to you in a true emergency, but I will tell you in 25 years of doing this, I have only had someone reach out to me twice, and it was something that I could handle pretty quickly, and then I could get back to my vacation, and I didn't have to feel like I was checking on things. So that's it. I hope you use these steps, and if you use them and it works for you, will you reach out to me? Will you let me know? Yes, I did this and I had the best vacation of my life. I would love that. And that's a wrap on today's episode of the Do More, Stress Less podcast. If today's episode resonated with you, I've got a little something else you might want to know about. I want you to check out my free class, 3 Secrets for Always Having Enough Time for Your Work, Your Family, and most importantly, yourself. It's short, it's practical, it's packed with strategies that you can use right away, and it's free. You can grab your spot at the link in the show notes or at alexishasselberger.com. See you next time.